What's up, guys? Welcome to this little R session. The purpose of this R session is just to get you to have a feel for how Markov chains actually work. And the way we're going to do that is by simply simulating some random trajectories for a basic Markov chain. Okay. Now do note that I do expect you to have some basic R proficiency here. Okay, so what that means is I do expect you to know what basic objects are in R, vectors, matrices, lists, etc., how to index them, and call the elements from them, etc. I do also expect you to know how to write functions and maybe have some familiarity with random number generation in R, drawing plots, etc. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this at all, don't worry. What I'll do is I'll try and link to some resources below. What you can then do is you can go and do some exercises, become familiar with the language, and then maybe come back to this R session, okay, and try and complete it with me. In any case, I'll try and be as clear as possible what we're doing, where we're doing it, when we're doing it, as we're writing the code. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Right, guys, so I've got a little template file here, which is already pre-populated with some codes and comments, which gives us instructions for what we're going to be doing. So first things first, this first line of code, that's just going to be some graphical parameters. I'll revisit that at a later stage when I draw the plots, just to make the plots more palatable. It's not really important for what we're doing here. The second line of code, this is important, just general coding practice. So I'm just going to explain what it does. So what this rm list equals ls does, ls creates a list of all the objects currently in the workspace, and then what rm does is rm removes that. Okay, so if there are any existing objects in the workspace, that'll wipe the workspace and we have a clean slate to work from. We won't confuse any variable names as we code. Okay, so just good general coding practice. Okay, again, not too important for what we're doing, just good practice. Right, then first instruction. Write a function that simulates a single trajectory of a Markov chain. This function should take as arguments the initial state of the process, one-step transition probability matrix gamma, and a number of steps to simulate. Okay, and then presumably should generate a random trajectory. Okay, so let me show you how you do that. Okay, so we've already got a function skeleton going on here. We'll call it mc_simulate. We're going to write a function, and again, it should take us in the initial state. I'm just going to call that x0. Then it should take gamma, the one-step transition probability matrix, and then we need to tell it how many steps to simulate. Okay, cool. Right, so first things first here, I've said this is for arbitrary gamma, so we don't know what gamma looks like. Is it a one-state, two-state, three-state process, whatever? We need to figure that out. Okay, so how do we do that? How many states does our process have? Well, we can read that off from the transition probability matrix, right? So remember, it's a square matrix. It permutes between all the pairwise combinations of possible states. So you can just read it off from one of either the row or the column dimensions. Okay, so we're going to create a vector which enumerates the state space. So that's going to go from 1 to gamma 1. So just read it off the first dimension of that matrix. Okay, and that'll create a sequence enumerating the state space. Next thing we need to do is we need to create storage for our simulated trajectory. Okay, so I'm just going to call that x. And well, let's create storage by simply repeating a bunch of NAs. Okay, and we're going to repeat them steps plus 1 times. Okay, so why steps plus 1? It's because you give me the initial state, and then we're going to simulate steps, iterations for our process, so steps plus 1. Okay, simple enough. Okay, and then obviously we can initialize by saying, okay, the first element in that vector should then correspond to the initial state of the process. Okay, now, in order to simulate a Markov chain, what we're going to do is we're just going to mimic the mechanics of a Markov chain, at least the sort of local mechanics. Okay, so presumably if you give me a one-step transition probability matrix, that tells me how the process behaves over single steps, so single iterations of the process. So we're just going to write a quick iterative updating procedure for simulating that behavior. Okay, cool. So to do that, we're going to need a loop. Okay, and I'm going to say, so for I running from 1 to steps, okay, do the following update. And this update is going to mimic the mechanics of the Markov chain. Okay, so what are the mechanics of a Markov chain? Well, if we think about the one-step transition probability matrix, what does that tell us? Well, look at the current state of the process, okay, and that transition probability matrix will tell you how the process evolves from the present time to one step later. So over one step, okay, how do I know what that behavior is? Well, I say, well, what is the current state? Go to the transition probability matrix, look at the corresponding row index, and that'll give you the distribution across the corresponding column indices for what is the probability that it'll move to that particular state. Okay, cool. So we can mimic that in our updating equation by simply saying, okay, the next value of the process, okay, is drawn from what? Okay, discrete distribution, which takes on what? Values in the state space. Okay, so draw one element from that. With what distribution? Well, the distribution is simply given by the appropriate row of the transition probability matrix. Okay, so we're going to read that off of gamma. Okay, the one-step transition probability matrix. How do we read that off? Well, we now need to check, well, what is the current state of the process? So at xi, and that'll give us the appropriate row. Okay, simple enough. So we keep repeating that over single steps, and that'll simulate a trajectory stepwise over however many steps we define. Cool. So simple procedure. Now we need this function to return that simulation. Okay, so once it's gone through that whole loop, we need it to return the randomly simulated trajectory. So how are we going to do that? We're going to have this function return something. What is it going to return? Well, we're going to have it return a list of objects. Okay, first object we want to return is the simulated trajectory. Okay, but we also want to plot this later on, maybe do some analysis. So we need to check, well, okay, we simulated over some time index. What does that time index look like? Well, we gave it the initial point in time, and then we simulated a number of steps. So what this is going to do is this is going to create a time index running from 0, 1, 2, all the way up to however many steps you simulated. Okay, so we get two objects back, time index, states from a random trajectory. We can plot that. Okay, so that'll be a random trajectory for the process. Okay, cool. So that wraps up the function. Maybe we can try that out on a arbitrary transition probability matrix. Okay, so let's maybe define a three-state Markov chain. Okay, so let's go gamma equals, and how I'm going to define this is using rbind. Okay, so rbind. If you're not familiar with rbind, what rbind does is you give rbind basically a sequence of vectors, and it'll populate a matrix with rows corresponding to those vectors. Okay, simple enough. Okay, so let's say in our transition probability matrix, we want the probability of moving from state 1 back to state 1 over one step to be 0.5. Okay, the probability of moving from state 1 to state 2, let's also make that 0.5. And then obviously the probability of moving to state 3 in one step from state 1 has to be 0, right? Because those probabilities have to sum to 1. Okay, let's now suppose you're in state 2. Let's say that the probability of moving to state 1 is 0. The probability of moving back to state 2, returning to state 2, 0.25, and then obviously state 3 has to be 0.75. Okay, let's just line those up. Okay, then finally state 3. Let's say if you're in state 3, there's a reasonably high probability you'll move to state 1. 0 probability you'll move to state 2, and 0.25 for staying in 3. Okay, so that'll give us a simple transition probability matrix. Let's run that code so you can see what it looks like. Okay, do the rows sum to 1? Yes, they do. Perfect. Okay, so that's our transition probability matrix. Right. Now what we want to do, oh gosh, doubled up on code there, I'm not sure why. Okay. Simulate and plot 1000 trajectories of length 11 for the above. Okay, so that's this random transition probability matrix starting from initial state 1. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to plot a single trajectory, and then we'll just loop and run many. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to run a simulation, so I'm going to call this function mc_simulate. We're going to start off from the initial state 1. We're going to give it the arbitrary transition problem matrix that we've had, and we're going to simulate for 10 steps so that we have a trajectory of length 11. Why 11? Because we've given it the initial state, and then we're going to simulate 10 steps. Okay, right. So we're going to call that function. It's going to return a list. So res is now going to be a list object which contains both x and a time, which is just time index. Okay, so what we can then do is we can plot our random trajectory by saying, okay, plot x as a function of the time index. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to specify what type of plot we want to do. We're going to say type equals b for both. So what that's going to do is going to draw both plotting characters and line segments connecting those plotting characters so that we get our nice little chain metaphor. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to preset the limits for this plot, okay, to be 0 and 4 on the y-axis. Okay, so why do I want to do that? Well, we're going to get a random trajectory out. We don't know which states is going to occupy along that trajectory, but if we just call plot will say, okay, well, what are the limits in x? So we're going to have our plot jump around if we draw lots of them. So what we want to do is we want to preset the limits so that all 3 states are always visible, and we can just look at the trajectory as it's generated. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this code. Right, yeah. So I'm just going to come back to this par quickly. So what par does here, you can just type $par and it'll tell you everything that's going on here with these arguments. But essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm just inverting the colors for the plot region that we're going to draw on. The reason I want to do that is so that when I draw the plot, the background is black and the foreground is white, as opposed to what you used to where the background is white and the foreground is black. I don't want to blind you. So also what will happen later is I'm going to draw a little window. I'm going to pop out a window and it's going to zoom on your screen and it's going to populate half your screen with that plot. So if that plot's white, it's going to blind you. Okay, so not important for what we're doing here. It's just easier on the eyes. Okay, and this graphical parameters are going to run now in the plot that we draw now as well. Okay, so we run our code, and what do we see? Okay, so this is a random simulation of the process. So what happened? Okay, we started out state 1. When it was in state 1, sort of had a random draw, say, well, with probability 0.5, you can stay in 1, 0.5, you can move to 2. Over that draw, it stayed in 1. Okay, next draw. Okay, again, look at state 1. You can either go to state 2 or back, just stay in state 1, probably 0.5. Okay, it chose 2. Right, now, when you're in state 2, okay, move to state 3 with 0.75 probability, stay in state 2, 0.25. Okay, it moved to state 3. Once it hit state 3, move to state 1, etc. Okay, so that's one random trajectory. We could run the experiment again, see if we get a different trajectory. And indeed, we do. Okay, so you can clearly see that it's a random trajectory. Okay, now what we want to do now is get a feel for, how much it varies. So let's maybe draw 1000 trajectories of the same length. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to draw a loop. Oh, yeah, we're going to just put it all in a loop. So for I in 1 to 1000, so draw 1000 plots. Okay, so 1000 simulations and plot each simulation. Okay. Now, if we do this, what's going to happen is it's going to draw to the plotting region, and you'll only see the last plot. So that's a quirk of working in RStudio. What we want to do is sort of see that happen live. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to pop out a window, and it's going to plot to that, and then you'll actually see it iterate. Okay, so how we're going to do that is we're going to call windows. Okay, and that's going to pop out a window on which it's going to plot. I then need to copy these graphical parameters, put that after windows. And yeah, okay, so we're going to run that and see it generate 1,000 different random directories. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, cool. So there we go, simulating 1,000 random directories. Okay, so you can clearly see why this is called a stochastic process, and you know how it behaves stochastically. Okay, so I hope it's also obvious why we now refer to these the probability model for these for Markov chains as being described by the transition probability matrix, right? Because this transition probability matrix essentially dictates how the process behaves, both locally and globally over long periods of time. Okay, so I mean, to see this, it's probably easier to actually force it to be a deterministic trajectory. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, we can go again to the transition probability matrix, and we're going to say, well, okay, if you're in state 1, you definitely move to state 2. Okay. If you're in state 2, no, don't do that. If you're in state 2, you definitely move to state 3. If you're in state 3, you definitely move to state 1. Okay, so what I've done here is I've sort of fixed the transition probability matrix in such a way that the trajectory of the process is deterministic, essentially. Okay. So what's going to happen? Well, when we try and draw 1,000 random trajectories, well, they're all going to look the same, right? Okay, so it's actually drawing all those plots now, but they all happen to be the same. Okay, so again, our probability model for a Markov chain is described by way of a simple transition probability matrix. And that transition probability matrix dictates the behavior of the chain both locally and globally. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you in the next one.